In the cutthroat world of business, alliances are forged and broken with ease. But for Tyler Pratt, a successful entrepreneur with a promising future, a fateful meeting with his associates would prove deadly. On a fateful night, Pratt's life was brutally cut short by the very people he trusted to help him build his empire. Gunned down in cold blood, Pratt's murder sent shockwaves through the business community, exposing a web of greed, deceit, and betrayal that would leave investigators grappling for answers. The question on everyone's mind: what led Pratt's associates to turn against him, and what secrets were worth killing for? Unlawful transactions, Hungarian shelters, and calculated homicide. When Tyler Pratt, a global entrepreneur and drug kingpin, extended his financial support to a young entrepreneur, little did he know that it would result in his demise. The individual behind the trigger turned out to be his business partner, along with his politically connected triplet girlfriend. Unfortunately, their criminal activities did not go as planned when they failed to eliminate a key witness, forcing them to escape the country and trigger a 3-month international pursuit. Their escapade, which involved seeking refuge in a safe house, ultimately culminated in their embarrassing apprehension. Even then, more revelations awaited them in the courtroom. Who exactly is Tyler Pratt? Which witness barely survived his assassination? What drove Oliver Carafa to gun them down? And who is Lucy Lai in all of this? This is the story of Tyler Pratt. Today, we are focusing on the city of Hamilton, located in the province of Ontario. Hamilton is renowned for its local arts, culture, and culinary scenes, all surrounded by its stunning nature trails. This part of Canada offers the perfect balance of city and nature, with a population of 580,000 residents, making it neither too crowded nor overly lonely. Situated on the western bay of Lake Ontario, Hamilton is a port city specializing in engineering and manufacturing. Did you know that over 60% of Canada's steel is produced here? Google Maps showcases the city's industrial nature, with various rail and sea networks set up to distribute products. Traveling east of Hamilton, you will encounter the small town of Stony Creek, filled with numerous warehouses. And it is one of these warehouses, in particular, that will play a crucial role in our case today. On February 28, 2021, a sudden deadly commotion interrupted the evening air. Shortly after 7:15 p.m., the Hamilton Police Service responded to a shooting on Arvin Avenue within Stony Creek. A passerby discovered a 26-year-old female crawling on the concrete floor beside her vehicle, having suffered severe injuries, including a gunshot wound to the chest. Although she was alive, it was evident that she was in critical condition. After contacting the authorities, officers found another victim nearby, a 39-year-old male named Tyler Pratt, who had tragically passed away from multiple gunshot wounds. Dr. Williams detailed the 6 bullet wounds he examined during Pratt's autopsy following the shooting at 347 Arvin Ave. 3 were from bullets that went clean through his arm, 1 went through the back of his neck and out near his ear, and another was a grazed-type wound on his chin that may have been caused by the same bullet that struck his chest. All but the chest wound only went through soft tissue. But it was the gunshot to the chest, which struck his left lung and then lodged in his back, that was fatal. Williams said he found 2.2 liters of blood in Pratt's left chest. Tyler Pratt was killed by a gunshot to the chest, but he would not have died immediately, a forensic pathologist testified. Williams could not say exactly how long it took Pratt to die after being shot upwards of 6 times at an industrial property in Stony Creek, Feb. 28, 2021. It was more than a minute or 2, but not likely an hour or 2. Many minutes is the best I can say, he told the jury at the ongoing trial. Oliver Carafa and Lucy Lee are charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder for the shooting of Pratt and his girlfriend, Jordan Romano, who survived being shot in the heart. Carafa is the alleged shooter. Both have pleaded not guilty. Williams detailed the 6 bullet wounds he examined during Pratt's autopsy following the shooting at 347 Arvin Ave. 3 were from bullets that went clean through his arm, 1 went through the back of his neck and out near his ear, and another was a grazed-type wound on his chin that may have been caused by the same bullet that struck his chest. All but the chest wound only went through soft tissue. But it was the gunshot to the chest, which struck his left lung and then lodged in his back, that was fatal. Williams said he found 2.2 liters of blood in Pratt's left chest. Toxicology also showed low amounts of methadone in his blood, but that did not contribute to Pratt's death, Williams said. The amount was consistent with people who take methadone as therapy for opioid dependency, but it also could have been taken recreationally. Court also heard several agreed statements of facts Tuesday from experts from the Center for Forensic Sciences. Among the agreed facts are that Pratt's blood was found on the hood of the Audi Q5 that Leigh and Carafa allegedly arrived at the scene in, and from the center console of Romano and Pratt's Range Rover. His blood was also found on the lower right leg of a pair of gray track pants seized by police and bullets found at the scene. It was clear that armed assailants had targeted both victims. Officers quickly suspected that the suspects had fled the scene in a white Range Rover SUV, urging anyone in the local area with helpful information to come forward. The announcement undoubtedly caused ripples of shock throughout the local community, revealing that the unfortunate victims, Tyler Pratt and Jordan Romano, were indeed a couple. Their love story, spanning over a year, was one of inseparability and devotion. Jordan, the lone survivor of the tragic incident, now faced the daunting task of navigating life without her beloved Tyler. The couple not only shared a home but also shared their entire existence with each other. Now, she found herself in solitude. Adding to her sorrow, she was carrying Tyler's child, a pregnancy that was abruptly terminated by the violent act. It is important to note that both Jordan and Tyler were involved in questionable dealings at the time of the shooting. However, they were striving to turn over a new leaf for the sake of their unborn child. The malicious intent behind the attack was evident, as the perpetrators aimed to eliminate both victims. Despite the failure to claim Jordan's life, there was hope for justice if she could identify her assailants. Yet, a significant obstacle stood in the way. Jordan had slipped into a coma. For 3 agonizing days, she fought for survival, with bleak prospects of recovery. Miraculously, her resilience prevailed. Although scarred, with nerve damage and mobility issues, she awoke with vivid recollections of the tragic event. Astonishingly, she could pinpoint her attackers. The individuals responsible for Tyler and Jordan's untimely demise were none other than Lucy Lee and Oliver Carafa, former business associates who chose violence over repayment. With the knowledge that Jordan survived the attack, Oliver and Lucy were nowhere to be found. In fact, they had already absconded the country and journeyed to Eastern Europe. But before delving into the intricate details of their escapade, let us first unravel the enigma surrounding the elusive couple known as Lucy Lee and Oliver Carafa. Commencing with Lucy Lee, renowned among her inner circle as Lucy, she was a 25-year-old lady hailing from Toronto. Lucy, a triplet, had one of her sisters participate in the prestigious Miss World Toronto contest last year, known as the Mayay triplet. Numerous online photos depict Lucy and her sisters clad in swimwear, engaging in QA sessions with their adoring fans. It is evident that Lucy led a life of opulence, nurtured by her mother and siblings. She was undeniably affluent. Turning our attention to Oliver Carafa, there is little to extol about this miscreant. At the time of the heinous act, Oliver was 28 years old. Although originally from Slovakia, he relocated to Toronto with his parents. Regrettably, his known history is marred by infamy, as he garnered national attention in 2014 for all the wrong reasons. A decade ago, Oliver was convicted of impaired driving, resulting in death, driving under the influence, criminal negligence causing death, and reckless operation of a vehicle leading to death. Subsequently, he received a paltry 5-year prison sentence. The conviction stemmed from a fatal crash in April 2012, where Oliver recklessly drove at nearly 3 times the speed limit while intoxicated. The crash resulted in the ejection of his 19-year-old friend and passenger David through the windshield, leading to David's tragic demise at the scene. 5 years later, Oliver emerged from his prison sentence and serendipitously crossed paths with Lucy. For reasons unbeknownst to mankind, she deemed him worthy of her time. While Oliver's exact business dealings remain shrouded in mystery, it is no secret that he was a shadowy entrepreneur involved in various criminal activities, including the illicit trade of stolen vehicles. Amidst the chaos of the pandemic, Oliver envisioned a new venture in Europe centered around personal protective equipment. However, a significant obstacle stood in his way: a lack of funds. Enter Tyler, a man of considerable wealth acquired through less than legal means, including the sale of cocaine. Despite his tainted past, Tyler sought to transition into a more legitimate business realm, especially with impending fatherhood on the horizon. Thus, he shifted his focus to lending money and, upon meeting Oliver through a mutual connection, invested a substantial sum of $500,000 into Oliver's enterprise. Tyler, a devoted father of 3 young children, was hailed as an exceptional parent. A graduate of the esteemed St. Anne's Academy in Kamloops, he harbored a deep passion for the Montreal Canadiens hockey team. Known for his unwavering pursuit of excellence, Tyler established a diamond company named Hard as Diamonds and later ventured into the realm of weight loss and wellness supplements with elite organic nutrition. In addition to his business endeavors, Tyler was also developing a mobile app at the time of his untimely demise. Eager to distance himself from the seedy underbelly of the criminal world, Tyler relocated to Ontario with his partner Jordan in pursuit of more legitimate opportunities. As fate would have it, Tyler and Oliver's chance encounter blossomed into a strong friendship and prosperous business partnership, marked by numerous meetings and collaborations throughout Tyler's investment. Throughout the past few weeks, Oliver and Lucy have been showered with numerous gifts, such as luxurious watches, by him. Despite Jordan and Tyler's belief that his personal protective equipment business was thriving, the reality was quite the opposite. It was failing miserably. Nevertheless, Oliver went to great lengths to deceive them, even going as far as showing them a photo on his phone displaying $12 million in a bank account. Despite the absence of a formal contract between the four, Oliver consistently assured them that one would be signed, although this never came to fruition. He also delayed making his financial payments. Tyler was informed by Oliver that they needed to travel to Prague and establish European bank accounts to facilitate easier access to profits, as wire transfers to Canada would incur heavy taxes otherwise. However, due to the border restrictions imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, this plan was indefinitely postponed. It is important to note that Tyler never posed any threat to Oliver regarding the borrowed money. Feeling the mounting pressure, Oliver and Lucy decided to take drastic measures by devising a plan to eliminate him and his partner, rather than confronting the situation they had gotten themselves into. The scheme involved Oliver enticing the couple with the idea of transferring money from his business out of Europe through a life insurance policy, which could conveniently be arranged through Lucy's affluent mother. Subsequently, Lucy and Oliver persuaded Tyler and Jordan to visit a secluded warehouse in Stony Creek under the guise of expanding their business into cultivating marijuana. Oliver claimed to possess multiple medical licenses and insisted that the warehouse was the ideal location for such an endeavor. Given that Lucy's mother owned the warehouse, they believed that their plan would go undetected. In truth, his intention was for Tyler to be isolated so that he could carry out his plan to harm him. Oliver then acquired a firearm from an acquaintance and requested that they both stay in Lucy's apartment with their SIM cards. He also instructed the acquaintance to regularly use their SIM cards to create the illusion that they were still present in the apartment. Unknown to his acquaintance, the plan was to harm someone they were only aware that Oliver and Lucy were engaged in a highly confidential task. Furthermore, Oliver had made arrangements to sell both his Audi SUV and Tyler's white Land Rover after the incidents, agreeing on a price of $4,000 for each vehicle due to their suspicious nature. On February 28, 2021, at 1:13 p.m., Lucy and Oliver were observed in the elevator heading towards their shared apartment, indicating their presence at the location. Subsequently, at 3:33 p.m., Lucy was seen exiting the apartment in disguise, wearing a hood and a wig. Despite the disguise, her identity was unmistakable. Although Oliver was not seen at that moment, it was deduced that he likely used the stairs. At 5:07 p.m., Oliver and Lucy arrived at the warehouse on Arvin Avenue, followed by Tyler and Jordan at 5:23 p.m. Upon arrival, they were directed to the rear of the property, but encountered a locked warehouse with no realtor present to receive them. This raised suspicions for the group. While Jordan remained in the vehicle, Tyler approached Lucy and Oliver. The trio attempted to enter the warehouse, but their efforts were in vain due to the locked doors. Tyler's frustration grew, leading Oliver to suddenly open fire towards Tyler and Jordan. In the chaos, Tyler urged Jordan to flee. She swiftly reversed the vehicle out of the warehouse parking lot, but not before sustaining multiple gunshot wounds. Jordan raced down Arvin Avenue, where she later drifted in and out of consciousness. She recollects dragging herself on the road, seeking assistance from a driver who had stopped beside her. Suddenly, everything turned dark. Oliver and Lucy spent the next hour scouring the streets near the warehouse, desperately searching for Jordan, but to no avail. Eventually, they abandoned their search and fled the area, assuming that even if she survived the ordeal, she would likely succumb to her injuries. And indeed, that was precisely what happened. Upon realizing that she had survived, Oliver and Lucy understood the gravity of their situation. Fearing murder charges if Jordan were to awaken from her coma, they made a drastic decision to flee the country. Following the crime, they returned to their apartment, packed their belongings, and drove to a remote gas station, waiting for it to open at 6 a.m. Lucy disposed of incriminating evidence in a black bin bag in the public toilets. They abandoned their vehicle, called for a cab, and were later captured on surveillance cameras at Montreal Airport. Subsequently, they left Canada's airspace and headed to Europe. Unfortunately, authorities were informed of their escape a little too late. Oliver and Lucy had already fled to Frankfurt, Germany, before traveling to his homeland, Slovakia, seeking refuge at his parents' home. Initially, things seemed fine, but when news of their arrest warrant spread, Oliver's parents demanded they vacate the premises immediately. However, once again, it seemed that the two lacked common sense as they were soon apprehended while attempting to acquire counterfeit Canadian passports. Following their apprehension, Oliver and Lucy were then placed in separate prison cells and provided with their own legal representation. This marked the beginning of the end for the young couple. After spending 3.5 months on the run together and facing numerous challenges, Lucy's loyalty began to waver. Meanwhile, Oliver urged her to resist extradition and argued that she would be safer in Slovakia than in Canada. Unbeknownst to him, Lucy had already struck a deal with her lawyers. In short, Lucy agreed to return to Canada on the condition that she would only be prosecuted for murder, which seems unwise as murder charges could result in a life sentence. So why try to avoid the lesser charges? Oliver was furious with her decision, although it ultimately did not matter because he too would be sent back to Canada without the same agreement. Interestingly, during her interrogation, Lucy complained about her flight back from Hungary, stating that she typically flew first class and was not accustomed to economy class or its bland food. And if you can believe it, her mother even offered to fly them back first class if given the opportunity. In January 2022, Lucy was released from prison on a $2.7 million bond. However, in May 2023, after violating her conditions twice, she was rearrested and returned to custody. A year later, in May of 2024, both she and her husband were brought to trial. It is important to note that the modern-day Bonnie and Clyde pleaded not guilty. The court was presented with a substantial amount of evidence during the trial. Tyler's blood was discovered on the hood of the Audi Q5 that Lucy and Oliver arrived in, as well as on the center console of his own Range Rover. Additionally, his blood was found on a pair of gray tracksuit pants that they had discarded. Furthermore, Tyler's and Jordan's DNA was identified on a pair of masks that Oliver disposed of in a recycling bin at a general store in Port Carling. This is where Lucy's abandoned Mercedes vehicle and the wig she wore in the surveillance footage were also found. Both the Audi and the Range Rover were discovered abandoned and damaged after the shooting. Despite Oliver's plan to sell them at a reduced price, they ran out of time when they decided to flee the country immediately. Analysis of paint transfer on both vehicles revealed that the green paint on the Audi likely came from a structure at the crime scene, and the white paint found at the crime scene was also likely from the Audi. During the trial, a forensic pathologist testified that Tyler would not have died immediately, and it would have taken several minutes for him to pass away, with a minimum of 2 minutes and a maximum of 2 hours. Tyler sustained 6 bullet wounds, 3 through his arm, 1 through the back of his neck and near his ear, another through a graze on his chin, and finally the fatal shot to the chest, which hit his left lung and lodged into his back. Not surprisingly, Lucy's lawyer argued that she was unaware of Oliver's intentions and missed several warning signs before the shots were fired. While under oath, Lucy recounted her version of events, claiming she was at the opposite end of the warehouse when the fatal shooting occurred. She even went as far as to admit that she felt foolish for ever getting entangled in his illicit dealings. Lucy defended her impromptu trip to Europe with Oliver by asserting that he had convinced her their lives were in grave danger, with Tyler's gang hot on their heels following his demise. Regarding the blonde wig incident in the elevator, she insisted it was merely a fetish wig she donned while fleeing an argument, hence her capture on camera. Oh, Lucy, how utterly absurd. Jordan scoffed, vehemently refuting Lucy's narrative by asserting that she was in close proximity when Oliver brandished his firearm. Jordan was convinced Lucy was not a mere bystander but an active participant in the crime. In court, Jordan lamented, "We thought we were close friends." It's truly disheartening to realize it was all a facade. Jordan also disclosed how she had turned to alcohol to cope with the trauma of being targeted, even causing a car accident in a panic, believing Lucy and Oliver's cronies were after her. Beside the physical injuries, she grappled with post-traumatic stress disorder and mourned daily for her lost loved ones. However, Jordan found her voice in court, condemning Oliver and Lucy as pitiful, monstrous figures whose lives were now irrevocably tainted. Following a lengthy trial, the jury swiftly reached a verdict, holding both Oliver and Lucy accountable for Tyler Pratt's murder and the attempted murder of Jordan Romano. The courtroom erupted in cheers as the jury delivered their verdict, with Jordan's taunting words echoing through the room. The killers remained stoic, showing no remorse as they faced the consequences of their actions. In Canada, first-degree murder carries a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Lucy and Oliver's chance at freedom won't come until 2046, a distant date indeed. While justice has been served for Tyler's family, his tragic death cannot be undone. Despite his past struggles, his aspirations for a better life were cut short by senseless violence. The betrayal by Lucy and Oliver for a sum of money is a heartbreaking betrayal of trust. My thoughts are with Tyler's loved ones as they navigate their grief, and I hope that Jordan can eventually find peace and happiness.